Marcus sat alone in his small house. He was poor. He had lost his wife 2 years ago. Every night he cooked a small meal and ate in silence. The world felt empty. People in town whispered about a strange event, a family selling their own daughter. Marcus didn't care at first, but something in his heart said, go. Maybe it was hope. Maybe it was pain. He grabbed his old coat, checked the few coins he had, and walked into the night. He didn't know this trip would change his life forever. Marcus arrived at a large, cold barn. Many rich men stood around, whispering and laughing. At the center, a young girl sat with her head down. Her name was Lila. She was 19. Her parents stood beside her, eyes empty, hands open for money. The man running the auction shouted prices. Marcus's heart hurt. How could anyone sell their own child? He didn't belong there. But when he saw Lila's tear fall, something in him broke. The bidding started high. Men offered gold and silver. Marcus had almost nothing. He whispered a tiny bid. The crowd laughed. The parents looked angry. The auctioneer wanted more money. But no one noticed. Lila lifted her eyes for the first time. She saw Marcus. Not rich, not cruel, just kind eyes. For a moment her fear softened. Marcus looked down, ashamed of his small offer. He wanted to leave. But destiny had other plans. No one bid higher. The crowd grew bored. One man yelled, "Give her to the fool!" The auctioneer sighed. Lila's parents didn't care. They wanted money fast. And so, with a final hit of the hammer, Lila was sold to Marcus. The crowd laughed as Marcus placed his coins in the parents' hands. He didn't feel like a hero. He felt scared. He held out his hand to Lila. She looked at it, then at him. Slowly, she stood and walked away with the only man who didn't see her as property. The road home was long and dark. Neither spoke for a while. Marcus didn't know what to say. Lila hugged her thin shawl. Finally, he said, "You're safe now." She didn't answer, but her steps grew steadier. They reached his tiny house. He gave her his late wife's old blanket. "You can rest here," he said softly. For the first time in years, Marcus made tea for two. Lila sat by the fire, still afraid, but a little warmer inside. Sunlight came through the window. Lila woke up to the smell of bread. Marcus cooked quietly. He gave her a plate. She looked at him, unsure. "Eat," he said gently. She did. The bread was dry but safe. Slowly she asked, "Why did you buy me?" Marcus looked down. "I didn't buy you. I saved you. No one should own you." Her eyes watered. No one had ever spoken to her like that. The next days were quiet. Lila stayed in the house mostly. Marcus gave her space. He never asked questions. At night, she cried softly, thinking of what her parents had done. Marcus heard but never intruded. Slowly, Lila began helping, cleaning, cooking a bit, tending the small garden. She still didn't smile, but the heavy fear in her eyes was fading. Marcus noticed. He felt peace he hadn't felt since his wife died. One evening, loud knocks hit the door. It was Lila's parents. They looked angry. "She's ours!" they shouted. "We want more money!" Marcus stood firm. "You sold her. You don't get her back." The father grabbed Marcus by the shirt, but Lila stepped forward. "No," she said, her voice strong for the first time. "You gave me away. I'm not yours anymore." The parents froze. They hadn't expected her to speak. Marcus felt a spark of pride. The town started talking. Some said Marcus was wrong. Others said he was a hero. Children pointed when he passed. Rich men mocked him. Poor families quietly thanked him. Through it all, Marcus stayed calm. Lila grew stronger. She began to smile, even laugh a little. The house, once so quiet, now felt alive again. For Marcus, it wasn't about the world. It was about keeping one promise, that Lila would never feel like a thing again. One night, a storm shook the house. Rain poured hard. Lightning flashed. Lila sat awake, trembling. The sound of heavy rain reminded her of the night of the auction. Marcus noticed. He sat beside her. "It's just weather," he said softly. She leaned on his shoulder without a word. For the first time, Marcus felt something more, not romance yet, but a bond. Two broken people sitting together in a storm, finding quiet safety in each other. At the market, a rich man grabbed Lila's arm. "You were at the auction," he sneered. Marcus stepped in. Let go, the man laughed. You can't protect her forever. The whole market watched. Marcus clenched his fists. Try me, he said, voice shaking but strong. The man backed off. Lila's hands shook, but she smiled at Marcus. For the first time, she felt not like property, but like someone worth fighting for. Days turned to weeks. Marcus and Lila began talking more. They shared stories, his about his late wife, hers about her childhood dreams. Slowly, they found laughter, even inside pain. Marcus never touched her without asking. Lila noticed the respect. Her heart began to heal. One evening, she said, You didn't just save me. You gave me life again. Marcus looked at her, eyes soft. You gave me the same, he whispered. One night, the parents came back. Not alone this time. They brought men with sticks. They wanted Lila back, not for love, but for more money. They kicked open the door. Marcus stood in front of Lila. You'll have to go through me, he said. A fight broke out. Marcus was hurt, but the village heard the noise. Neighbors rushed in, stopping the men. The parents were dragged away, shouted at for their cruelty. Lila held Marcus, tears falling. You risked your life for me, she cried. After that night, things changed. The village finally respected Marcus. Lila no longer hid. They worked together in the garden, cooked together, even laughed loudly. They were not rich, but the little house was full of warmth. Sometimes Marcus would sit by the fire and Lila would bring him tea. In silence, they understood. They had both been broken, but together, they were healing. Months later, Marcus asked Lila, What do you want for your future? Lila smiled. I want to stay here, not because I must, but because I choose to. Marcus's eyes softened. They didn't rush into love. They built it like a gentle fire, safe, warm, steady. Two people once lost now found a family in each other. The world outside was still hard, but inside that little home, there was peace, laughter, and hope. And sometimes that's all two broken hearts need to begin again. Please like and subscribe for more interesting videos.